This video is for all of the mamas out there that struggled to get pregnant, and now that perfect, magnificent miracle of a child is driving you up the frickin' wall. Today's video was inspired by a combination of me yelling at my child at the grocery store for refusing to put her feet into the little holes in the shopping cart, and also her telling me that I ruined her life because I forgot to let her push the lever down on the toaster. Welcome back to Every Mama's Midwife. My name's Jess. I'm a certified nurse midwife and infertility mom. My first pregnancy ended in a miscarriage, and then it took us 3 rounds of IUI, or intrauterine insemination, to conceive my rainbow baby, Ingrid. When I was struggling to get pregnant, it really hurt my heart to hear other mothers complain about their children at all, or to hear women complain about being pregnant. And since I do prenatal care for a living, I definitely heard a lot of that. If I heard a mom yelling at her kid at the grocery store, I would think to myself, oh, I would never do that. She should just be so grateful she even gets to be a mom. And now that I have reached the stage in parenting where I have a 3-year-old who is testing her boundaries, which she's supposed to be doing, I absolutely have yelled at my kid at the grocery store. And the type of guilt that comes slamming into your body after an experience like that can be pretty intense. I figure I can't be the only infertility mama or rainbow mama who's trying to reconcile these feelings, so I thought it would be helpful to make a video about navigating this type of mom guilt. My first tip is just let yourself be human. Just like your child is learning how to behave in this world, you're learning how to be a parent. As wonderful as our children are, they do not come with an instruction manual, and a lot of parenting is just figuring out what works for your family through a series of trial and error. You are absolutely going to make mistakes along the way, but that's okay, because that's how you learn. When you feel that guilt and that anger building up at yourself, just try to pause and take a deep breath and cut yourself some slack. You deserve to give yourself patience just as much as your child deserves patience. If you're struggling with tip number 1, tip number 2 is to just learn how to keep your cool so you have fewer interactions that trigger that mom guilt. It is so hard to figure out how to be gentle and patient with your child if you're a first-generation gentle parenter, which it seems a lot of our generation is gravitating towards that style of parenting. Many of us grew up with spanking, illogical consequences, and parents who threaten to give us something to cry about. It can make you feel helpless when your child isn't behaving the way you want them to, and you don't feel like you have threats or punishments that you can fall back on. I was one of those kids who got spanked as a child, and I still remember how that made me feel, and I do not want to do that to my kiddo. But then she ignores my requests over and over, and I can feel my voice getting louder and louder, and I get into this headspace of, what am I even doing right now? I would be so embarrassed if anyone heard me yelling like this. Or if I am in public, I do get really embarrassed, and it just triggers more of that mom guilt. Fortunately, there is an excellent book on this topic called Peaceful Parent, Happy Kids by Dr. Laura Markham. I'll drop an affiliate link in the description. In this book, Dr. Markham goes over strategies you can use to help you maintain your calm in stressful situations with your child. She also reminds readers throughout the book that if your child is misbehaving, they're really just craving attention from you, and that's your cue to drop in and reconnect with your precious rainbow toddler. She has tips for communicating with children of all ages, and she goes over the research of what your child can handle developmentally. So for example, I learned from this book that as a 3-year-old, the part of my daughter's brain that handles impulse control has not developed yet. So even if I ask her not to do something and she wants to behave, her brain just might not let her yet. Ultimately, it's my job to remove the temptation in the first place. My biggest takeaway from this book is that a lot of the time, I'm just expecting way too much from my child. It's easy to do because she's so articulate, she sounds like a little adult, but her brain isn't quite there yet. And so if she's misbehaving, it doesn't make her a bad kid, and I'm not a bad mom. She's right where she's supposed to be. This brings me to my last piece of advice, which is just to remember that this is normal. Your kiddos are supposed to test their boundaries, and every parent gets frustrated sometimes. When you struggle to conceive, you spend a lot of your time thinking about how wonderful it's going to be to hold your baby, or all of the love you're going to get to experience as a parent. But being a parent is really hard sometimes, and these experiences are equally as important as those other experiences that you longed for. The expressions terrible twos and 3-nager exist because they're relatively universal. You're not a bad mom if you get upset with your kids sometimes. You're just a normal mom. And isn't that what you always wanted to be? I hope you found this video helpful. If you're an infertility mama or a rainbow mama and you have other tips for dealing with mom guilt, please drop them in the comments. I post new videos every week about infertility, pregnancy, and motherhood after 35, so make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Thank you so much for watching.